is yet another wonderful occasion to join Kenya's capital markets fraternity in celebrating an exceptional milestone. We are here today to witness the listing by introduction of the first real estate investment trust instrument to be issued by a pension scheme. This momentous listing signifies the evolution of our capital markets, which have consistently shown resilience in the face of challenging local and global financial developments, as well as responsiveness to the needs of a market that gets increasingly complex and sophisticated with each passing day. Our capital markets capacity to evolve on a sustainable, continuing basis is therefore a critical pillar of our competitiveness as an economy, and it is also a fundamental factor of our ability to finance development, thereby creating jobs and alleviating poverty. Today's introduction of the LAP Trust Imara Real Estate Investment Trust is the culmination of commendable collaboration among industry stakeholders in pursuit of innovative instruments that enhance the credibility, competitiveness, liquidity, and efficiency of our capital. It is important to appreciate the role of a well-developed financial sector in powering national economic development. The presence of deep and efficient markets is a fundamental precondition for further economic growth. Kenya's financial sector is strong, competitive, and I say vibrant as well. A debt and equity market like ours has been effective in mobilizing domestic as well as international capital, thereby complementing other forms of financing, fostering the rational embrace of elements of risk inherent in new, innovative, and pioneering enterprises and supporting long-term investment. The government is committed to expanding opportunities for both investors and issuers in Kenya. It is imperative for our capital markets to devise appropriate mechanisms that leverage the savings component of all funds, including Hustler Fund, diaspora remittances, bank deposits, capital markets, SACCOs, insurance plans, savings held in fintech and other assets to provide a sustainable critical mass of capital to finance the transformation of our country. For sustainability, these mechanisms must be affordable to borrowers while giving an attractive return to savers. And I am persuaded that our capital markets can offer reliable alternative funding for all categories and sizes of business, which is also responsive to their long-term strategic intentions. This is how, by saving, Kenyans at the bottom of the economic pyramid can become lenders and investors who finance national development and economic growth. I've been to various parts of the country spreading the transformational footprint of our affordable housing program. It is our intention to increase the availability of cheap and safe houses so as to plug the housing deficit, which currently stands at about 5 million units. The execution will combine efficient building and construction, consumption of local materials and locally manufactured accessories and fixtures, and the employment of hundreds of thousands of both skilled and unskilled workers. Just to put it in context, we managed to unravel this whole sector about real estate, which was for a very long time hostage to high-end development of housing units. In fact, of the 50,000 units that were built every year, you could hardly get 2% of it being affordable. We decided to intentionally and deliberately desegregate the housing sector, and the biggest component that always impeded the development of not just affordable housing, but housing in general, was the cost of land. In fact, it contributed maybe up to anywhere between 20 and 30% of the cost of a house. We have since, as a government, made land for construction of houses free. And I want to congratulate many counties that have made close to 4,000 acres of land in very prime land in many parts of our towns across Kenya, worth anywhere between 20 and 30 billion Kenya shillings. That's the land that currently is available for housing that you don't have to pay for. Everybody was building a designer house. And you know what designer means. So to be able to build houses on scale, it became necessary to standardize all the aggregates of what builds up to a house. Standardize doors, standardize windows, standardize all the components of a house. And today I can tell the private sector proudly that we have standardized all doors for all affordable housing units. We have standardized all windows, hinges, and all the other components. And in our plan of 200,000 houses, what that means is that you now have a clear path on what you can build your business towards. We are already doing the units in 11 counties. We have advertised by 30th of this month, another 7 counties. And we are on course to ensuring that we not only meet the 200,000 housing units, but we surpass it. And therefore, I am challenging our pension schemes to step up and provide the offtake. I know a fund manager is looking at a treasury bond, and that gives him a fair return. I want to encourage you that you will not only get a fair return by investing in our housing scheme, but you will have big impact. You can look at a house and you can proudly say, I supported Kenya, a Kenyan to have a roof over their heads. Beyond PPPs, the government is committed to the expeditious divestiture of government interest in various entities across several sectors through privatization. We expect the capital markets to rise to the occasion and mobilize capital and give the taxpayers excellent value. Again, as I made a commitment when I came to this stock exchange, this securities exchange last year, I made a commitment that government is going to divest so that we can democratize our wealth and allow more Kenyans to own a piece of what is Kenya, and especially entities that are currently Kenyan owned. When we went to run with that exercise, we found that the law that existed was actually the biggest impediment to any privatization. It's a law that has been there for the last almost 15 years, and it has made it impossible for any divestiture to happen and for any democratization of what is owned by government to be undertaken. Yesterday in Cabinet, we approved a new law that will provide mechanisms for Kenyans to own part of what is Kenya. And I am looking forward to the Nairobi Stock Exchange, to the Securities Exchange here, to provide the necessary capital for Kenyans to buy into these entities.